Good morning, friends. Now the urea cycle I have mentioned about this cycle in my previous video. Now some important points. They are the transporters. For CO2 there is a transporter. For ammonia there is a transporter in the mitochondria, hepatocytes. And the important transporter, that is the ORC, that is ornithine carrier protein, or ORNT. It is also called ORNT, that is ornithine citrulline transporter. There is a inner mitochondrial channel or inner mitochondrial transmembrane protein which forms the antiport. It is the opposite direction. At the same time, two compounds are in opposite direction moving through this transporter. It is the ornithine from cytosol to mitochondria and citrulline from mitochondria to mitochondria to cytosol, citrulline. Okay, this is the ORC protein or ORC channel protein or the ornithine carrier protein or ORNT, that is the ornithine citrulline transporter. You know, every protein is synthesized by a coding gene. Okay, from gene it will be, gene is present in DNA. Gene, so from DNA to central dogma process, that is DNA to RNA, that is the transcription. From RNA to protein synthesis by translation process. So the gene for this ORC or ORNT, the gene is ORNT1 gene. Okay, ORNT means ornithine citrulline transporter 1 gene. The name of the gene is ORNT gene. If there is a defect in the ORNT gene, then a disease occurs. That is the HHH syndrome. HHH syndrome. Okay, HHH syndrome. Now, what is HHH syndrome? There are 3 diseases named starting with H. Number 1, hyperornithinemia. Hyperornithinemia. Number 2, hyperammonemia. And number 3, that is the homocitrullinuria. Homocitrullinuria. Okay. So hyperornithinemia. How you think this gene is defective? If the ORNT gene is defective, it is the defective gene. Due to defective ORNT gene, the ORC protein will not synthesize properly. So it is a dysfunctional or non-functional. So ornithine will not enter, citrulline will not exit. Okay. So after entering the ornithine, these are the substrate of this second reaction, that is the ornithine transcarbamylase enzyme reaction. Okay. So ornithine will accumulate in the liver cell. So there will be the hyperornithinemia. That is the in blood ornithine concentration will increase. Number 2, that is the hyperammonemia. If there is a block in this step, there is a ammonia concentration will rise. That's why hyperammonemia. Okay. And if this is not properly working, then the citrulline will not properly form by this reaction. Then carbamoyl phosphate and ornithine will convert it into another bypassed step through which the formation of homocitrulline. Okay. So this homocitrulline will be released through urine. That's why another disease called the homocitrullinuria. These 3 diseases starting name with H. That's why it is called HHH syndrome. Okay. Now further, that is the in fourth reaction there is a argininosuccinate lyase. Argininosuccinate lyase step. The byproduct is fumarate. Okay. This fumarate is released as a byproduct of urea cycle which is the intermediate of the TCA cycle, but fumarate has no transporter, so it will convert it into malate. This malate will enter into the mitochondria, and in mitochondria, malate will convert it into the oxaloacetate in the TCA cycle steps. So it can enter into the TCA cycle step. Okay. So oxaloacetic acid is formed from malate, which may be subsequently transaminated. This is the transamination reaction, oxaloacetate to aspartate, which can re-enter into the urea cycle. So simultaneously TCA cycle is also occurring, and by this TCA cycle the oxaloacetate can exit from TCA cycle and transaminated into aspartate and again come back into the urea cycle. That's why this is also called urea bicycle. So urea cycle is also known as urea bicycle. Now one important thing is the structure of urea. You know, structure of urea is NH2CO NH2, that is NH2CO NH2. This is urea. Now you see here, this is the ammonia. So nitrogen is, one nitrogen is present. Say this nitrogen is supplied from ammonia. Now what about another nitrogen in urea? From where this nitrogen comes? This nitrogen comes from aspartate. Here is the aspartate. This aspartate binds with the citrulline, and from this aspartate the another nitrogen comes in the urea. And what is the source of carbon? The source of carbon is obviously CO2. The source of carbon in urea is obviously CO2. Now come to the energy expenditure of the urea cycle. Energy expenditure of the urea cycle. This is the energy expenditure of the urea cycle. The energy calculation. Just look at the cycle in which steps ATP are required. Okay. Here is the step, here is the step. So I am writing here the first step, CPS1. In this CPS1 step, 2 ATP is required, that is 2 ATP. Now number 2, in the third enzyme step, that is argininosuccinate synthetase. Argininosuccinate synthetase. In that step, 1 ATP to 1 AMP plus PPI, okay, which is equivalent to 2 ATP because pyrophosphate is formed. So total is obviously 4 ATP. You can calculate 2 ATP, 2 ATP, that is 4 ATP is required in the urea cycle energy expenditure. Okay, but if it is not only the urea cycle, as it occurs as urea bicycle. What is urea bicycle? The TCA cycle and urea cycle occurs simultaneously. That is fumarate, malate enters into mitochondria, oxaloacetate. So this is the steps of TCA cycle. This malate to oxaloacetate step, how it is formed? By an enzyme malate dehydrogenase. If you recall your memory, in the TCA cycle, malate to oxaloacetate conversion by the enzyme malate dehydrogenase. In this malate dehydrogenase step, I write down it as MDH. MDH means malate dehydrogenase. In this malate dehydrogenase step, one NADH is produced. One NADH is produced. You know, one NADH which is produced, this NADH can go into the electron transport chain ETC. In electron transport chain, this one NADH can produce 2.5 ATP, you know. So 2.5 ATP is generated. 2.5 ATP is generated. Okay. So our energy expenditure in urea bicycle is obviously, if it is the TCA cycle is simultaneously occurring, that is urea bicycle, the term is bicycle. Urea bicycle. In urea bicycle, malate to oxaloacetate by the malate dehydrogenase, one NADH is produced. One NADH in electron transport chain will generate 2.5 ATP. So my total energy expenditure in urea bicycle is obviously 4 minus 2.5 equals to 1.5 ATP. It is very, very important. That is 1.5 ATP is required to run the urea bicycle. Okay. Now come to the difference between the CPS1 and CPS2, that is the carbamoyl phosphate synthetase 1 and carbamoyl phosphate synthetase 2. CPS2 is not at all concerned with this protein amino acid metabolism. It is completely different, CPS2. But for the sake that 1 is present, now what is about 2? You have to know that carbamoyl phosphate synthetase is an enzyme of urea cycle, and CPS2 the enzyme of pyrimidine synthesis. Number 2, CPS1 is a mitochondrial enzyme. Number 2, in CPS2 it is a cytosolic enzyme. Okay. Number 3, in this carbamoyl phosphate synthetase 1 reaction, the enzyme is completely same. It is CPS1 or CPS2. CO2 plus NH3 will form carbamoyl phosphate. It is completely same reaction, but occurrence is different. One in urea cycle, one in pyrimidine synthesis. CPS2 cytosolic, CPS1 mitochondrial. Here the source of ammonia in this step, the final product is the carbamoyl phosphate is same in both cases, but the source of ammonia is different. Source of source of nitrogen. Source of nitrogen is ammonia, but here source of nitrogen is glutamine, amino acid glutamine. Source of nitrogen is ammonia in urea cycle, and source of nitrogen is glutamine in CPS2. Number 4, in this CPS1 reaction, it is a very important point, that is NAG, N-acetyl glutamate. N-acetyl glutamate is the obligatory allosteric activator of the CPS1 enzyme. Obligatory allosteric activator. No NAG is required in CPS2. This is the different. Urea cycle CPS1, pyrimidine synthesis CPS2, mitochondrial enzyme CPS1, cytosolic enzyme CPS2. Source of nitrogen ammonia in CPS1, glutamine is the source of nitrogen in CPS2. N-acetyl glutamate is the allosteric obligatory activator. Obligatory allosteric activator is the obligatory allosteric activator of CPS1. Okay, this is very important. In acetyl glutamate, what you know the structure of glutamate? and the acetylation will occur at the amino position, so there is a N-acetyl glutamate. Okay, it is obviously an amino acid, it is the obligatory allosteric activator of CPS1. This is the difference. Thank you. Next class we will discuss about the regulation of the urea cycle. Thank you.